You guys know about the marketing that I love, right? Build businesses and vertically integrated and then buy more real estate. That's my formula in the lab. That simple. You're just only one experiment away. That's it. You're only one experiment away.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Experiment Nation, what is going on, man? It is your host, Ruben Kanya at investedtalent.com and your host at the Real Estate Experiment Show. We're not just a podcast, y'all. We are a show which we repurpose on multiple social media platforms. That's what our agency at investedtalent.com does for not only ourselves, but multiple individuals, real estate influencers, content creators, real estate investors in the space. And the reason I'm excited about today's episode is because it's just a reflection milestone episode. That's all it is, man. If you've been listening, you already know that we've evolved over time. In the lab, we recently just hit the 200 milestone. Guys, 200 episodes in the bag. That's 200 episodes of data. It's a database of experiments from practitioners that have figured it out, and not only figured it out, but doubled down and gotten 10x, 100x the results one could even wish and even imagine. And that's the goal, right? We're sharing this knowledge to Experiment Nation because we truly believe that you're only just one experiment away. If you're listening to this or you're watching this, I just pointed to the new merch that we got. As a big milestone. We even got the hats as well, got the experiment in the back, you know what I'm saying? So we're happy, we're excited. And podcasting has changed our experiments in the lab, right? As you guys know, I'm the founder and director of Invested Talent. It's a large team that allows us to create content. But originally when the way the agency was born, we were just doing it for ourselves, for our brand, because I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan and I believe in documenting the process, being able to share that journey with others so that they understand what you're doing, so that, when they think of something like, real estate or short-term rentals or Airbnb, they think of you first, which then opens up a lot of doors for a lot of things, right? And that does not just have to be real estate. Like, that is for anything. I would really encourage anyone who's listening to this, who's like trying to get in real estate or in real estate, that you can implement this. I don't know that I would call it strategy. I would say leverage this source of content, of your ability to connect with people, your ability to interview people who are thought leaders who feel flattered that you want them on their show, to make connections. That's our number one priority. Serve our community and create a database of knowledge and information you can refer them to. That's another one of our priorities, to share the knowledge and to inspire, right? And but the most fruitful is just the relationships that you create. And from being able to reach out to people that you either know or people that you don't know, and fostering a relationship on the air, it's priceless, right? And I can talk about the accolades that we've recently got from it, like being a hospitable host there, an international best-selling book that I co-authored in, all came from the podcast. We actually had Julie George there on there. She actually called me up and did it. Many of our guests that come on the show turn into clients, where we launched our podcast for them, help repurpose their content on multiple social media platforms. But yeah, being featured on Forbes, like, being a speaker, sponsoring conferences. I mean, being able to go to conferences and speak, and we're working on a few things, but all from the podcast. Real estate deals from the podcast, guys. So if you're out there listening, that's one plug. One plug is A, my agency can help you, but B, with regardless of the agency, if you're trying to reach out, if you're trying to become a, I don't know, world known mechanic or scientist or whatever the case might be, I don't know what you're trying to do, but if you're trying to do that, right, and real estate maybe is a side thing that you're doing, I would say create a podcast. Right. It's not about the listenerships, right? It's not about the listens. I don't even look at the downloads. I know we have a lot, um, thousands and thousands, but that's not what I look for. I look to network. And so I would really encourage you. But with that being said, I wanted to take the time to go through some highlights. 200 episodes, there's just a lot. There's a lot there. So some things that stand out. You guys know I got to start with my man, Michael Sjogren, because without him, I think he came in, and I'm going to just do a control find here while I'm on the screen. Yeah, that was episode 91. That was dope. That was one of my, most memorable. Like, if you guys haven't listened to that, that's what got me in the short-term rental space. Right? He said he retired his mom, retired his wife, retired himself in 18 months, and never looked back. Right now, he's like 100 units. He's about to close on 100 on a boutique hotel. Like, his growth, and I've seen his boutique hotels in person, amazing. Right? That was the top one, like, meaningful to me. I just want to share with you guys what's meaningful to me so you can go to it. So another one was episode 79, Phil M. Jones, Exactly What to Say, Influence and Impact in Speaking. That's another one of my favorites because this dude, like, when he's on the air, it's like he's a poet. And Exactly What to Say has so many gems on how to speak, and how I reached out to him too. I followed up. I remember Bonnie 7 to 9 times in a span of like 6 months. And then I used one of his lines, like, would you be open to? That's what he talks about in the book, right? I have that right here in my lab over my shoulder, Exactly What to Say on the other side. I should say, on the other side. I think so. All right, in the other room. But phenomenal book. I would listen to that if you want anything good about like marketing and like being able to speak to people, because I genuinely believe when people ask me what my superpower is, I would say being able to convince anybody. Because if I can convince you to do anything, I can convince you to, and not in a manipulative way. I mean, like, in a, like, hey, like, let me convince you to sell this house. Like, this is the house for you. And like, oh yeah, I believe you. Like, let me convince you to work, that we should work together, that I'm your guy. Like, if you can have the power of convincing, which is essentially the power of selling, the world is yours. Convince me to give me a loan even if I don't qualify. Why am I thinking that? Is because the market's going at a crazy pace right now. Like, if I can convince you to give me like a 2% loan because I was good for it, a 2% interest rate, holla. No, but it's interesting, right? That concept of being able to persuade and understand people is critical in any business. So I would say tap into that episode 79. If you're listening, you're driving, tap into episode 79 on the real estate experiment. Doesn't matter if you're on YouTube, doesn't matter if you're on Spotify. That's where most people listen to our show now. Tap in. That's one of my favorites. Another one. It's funny. Tony Whatley, multi-million-dollar business, Side Hustle Millionaire. So the Side Hustle Millionaire is a lot of people can relate to this because not everybody who's listening is like full-time entrepreneur. And if you are, well, you are, but if you're not and you're looking for an avenue to, that's why you're trying to experiment. This is a good one because it really puts into perspective the amount of work it takes, what you can do, what you don't have to do, what you should do, and how he did it. He basically built a multi-million-dollar business that did he end up selling it? I don't know if he ended up selling it. He did very well for himself. And he's just, his personality is awesome. Like, it's dope. You should really tap into that podcast because it's something we can all relate to. It's like, oh, we don't have enough time. Well, what are you doing after work, right? What can you do that will compound over time? So that's a big one. Another one that I'm just going through here. Pop credit, blah, blah. So not too many people notice, but one of the first interviews that I had was by Vinny Troparth. Yeah, 300 million assets under 300 million assets under management. And this was like probably one of the first, I think it was one of the first guys I had. I don't know why on the here it shows that it was released 1203. The other one was 1202. That's funny because I had him first. Like, he was one of the first. And I didn't believe that I should be in the same lab as him. Right. Like, and so that's just a message that's just a reflection point of like, and when I say that, it means that like I was just doing self-reflection podcast, and I'm like, well, let me start interviewing people, and I'm like, what is this guy gonna do, sitting down with a guy who doesn't even own real estate at the time and talk about 300 million assets under management. I'm talking to this guy who's doing it at scale. I have 0 properties, and I'm like, dude, what am I doing on this podcast? And that was one of my biggest limiting beliefs, that I can't have a podcast where like I don't own real estate, but that's the very thing that led me to it, right? Like learning from people and then creating connections, and that led to that. So that's a good the very thing that is like stopping you is going to be the very that you feel that you're stopping yourself usually is the very thing that you should do. And that's what I did. So that one is a number one. That's that's 59, episode 59. So check that out. That one's dope. And then another one that comes to mind is Beez. Yeah, Mr. Beez, man. This guy building multiple vertically aligned businesses with, he goes by Beez, Born Hendricks, basically. Episode 131. It's essentially what I want to do. It's essentially what I'm doing. The reason why I have investedtalent.com, it's an agency that is a profitable agency, 6-figure agency, trying to get to 7 figures. And the cool thing is that it creates our show, The Real Estate Experiment, which is a separate entity, right? It's a show. And that entity is, what I'm repping right now, right? But I have investedtalent.com. So it's vertically integrated. Like my agency helps launch this show and the show of many other people, which opens up a lot of doors for connections and deals, and especially in the short-term rental space. And I mean, beyond that, right? Like our client, just for perspective, my CPA, who is actually an EA, which is a enrolled agent, they're like better than CPAs. They're like freaking like sharks, and not sharks, but I should say freaking just ninjas. That's the word, ninjas in saving, in tax strategy. That came from because a client, shout out to Core Advisors, cost segregation specialists, we launched their podcast, and shout out to Diana as well. We launched their podcast and multiple podcasts for 2 separate brands. And because I know they're cost segregation specialist, my brother wanted a cost segregation specialist. I made an introduction. Then my brother got introduced to a CPA that was referred to by Diana. Shout out to Diana Rouse. And then what ended up, Diana Guy, I don't know, I said Rouse. But then what ended up happening is my brother was like, oh, that CPA might not work for me, blah, blah. And then I got the CPA. But all, through the connection that I made through my brother, because they were a client of ours, I got this ninja CPA that saved me thousands and thousands of dollars this year. Like, I'm so grateful. I went from like, I was going to pay 20s and thousands of dollars to like paying peanuts that are like almost nothing. So that's the goal. How do you build vertically integrated businesses? One, being able to build strategic partnerships. Like we're partnering with, shout out to Will's team, right? Hospitality.fm on hosting our podcast over there, and our clients can get help, get more visibility, get more traffic for their show as well. Like that's a strategic partnership we're working on. Like there's just so many.
Experimentation. I always experiment. And the reason why is I'm always trying to find the best tool, the best method, and the best vehicle to help me get to my end goal. One of the tools that we use in the short-term rental space is Guesty for Hosts. Now, experimentation, you know that I love to test things, and I wouldn't be sharing with you anything that I don't use myself. As a short-term rental superhost, Airbnb superhost, listings that we own and co-host at the same time, I can tell you that there's no better software that allows us to streamline our business. Right now, currently, there's actually 3 properties right now that are currently where guests are checking in, and I'm here with you, and I did not need to send in check-in instructions for these current properties, right? There are multiple ways that you can streamline your operation, from on the front end and on the back end, from being able to create a website, from being able to get income reports for your team, to looking at statistics, to setting up auto reviews, to integrating your smart lock so that you don't have to sit here and send every day and remind yourself to send the passcodes for your smart locks. No, instead you can integrate directly the exact same way that you can actually send your cleaners a link so that they don't have to remind themselves when they need to go to cleanings. There's text reminders that go out. There's links that can go out for them. This is a tool that if you're looking to give a smooth experience for your team on the back end, it will truly reflect, and it does, for your guests on the front end. Make sure you go to host.guesty.com and use our unique link. Our unique link will be in our bio, in the show notes. If you're currently watching this, you'll see it right here at the bottom of my screen. Use this unique link so that you can tell Guesty that I sent you. You don't want to miss out on this. You need a PMS, property management software, in your business if you're looking to operate like a super host that you deserve to be, so that your guests can have the best experience that they deserve to have at your properties. Again, that host.guesty.com. Use our unique link that is here on the screen, in the bio, and in the show notes if you're listening to this, guys. Happy hosting.
And like my virtual assistants, like I had, that's another one. So I'll go to that one and then I'll go to this one too. Onlinejobs.ph. That's a good segue actually. So I recently had Jonah, episode 175, the founder of onlinejobs.ph. So for those who don't know, you can, I work with a lot of my team comes, like 90% of my team comes from the Philippines, right? And like we've literally created the coolest things, served so many clients, made thousands of dollars. We're not at $1 million quite yet, but we've served a lot. We've done a lot. And on like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And basically it's all from the Philippines. And if you haven't really tapped into like the kind of team that you can build from the Philippines, I was just at STR retreat where they actually have them pick up the phone. I mean, you've probably heard it, like in the US, like that's what we have. Like I built sales teams with it, or I'm still building a sales team right now. In the past, I had an outreach person from the Philippines. I've done back end, front end, middle office, back office. And so I had this gentleman who created onlinejobs.ph, which is a platform that will allow you to hire a VA anywhere from like $3 to like $250 to like $5 to, I mean, you name it. There's a price for anyone whose budget allows, right? Like, yeah, and with respect to skill set, obviously, right? And that's a game changer when the overhead and prices here in the US are very expensive, or compared to, you can really scale out and build these businesses. So you take what Tony Whatley, right, Side Hustle Millionaire, with, born Mr. Beez, right? Building vertically integrated businesses, and you combine it with a resource like onlinejobs.ph, the power is yours. Like, what excuse do you have? And so that's one of my favorite episodes. It's very resourceful. Also, like how I conducted the interview in that episode. That's a good one. And then, so that's another favorite. I feel like I'm gonna like stop this and be like, oh, I should have said this, but that's just the nature of the business. There's 200 episodes, y'all. Y'all gotta work with me. I'm just going from the top of the head. Top of the head, y'all. We got some stuff. We got some more stuff coming in too. Repurposing a house into a home, episode 184. That's one of my beliefs, and the reason it's meaningful to me is because that was me actually reading my chapter of Hospitable Host, which is the book right there behind me, which became an international best-selling book. I read that, and it was really cool, and I added a little bit more bonus insights. I read it and I added insights behind like my paragraph. So I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, how could I forget? I gotta show love to my man's right here. This was way overdue, but I got a chance to get on my man. That's me in the background. I'm just clicking this on the website just so you guys know. Here's a little hack, guys. If you want to go to experimentrealestate.com/podcast, I think that's what it is. I hope that's what it is. I'll make sure that's what that is. Let me just do a little double check here. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? I'm just putting it up here. You can see all these. You can actually do a control find for all these episodes. That's what I like to do. Because that way, we actually put this back here. Yeah, that way you can kind of see the whole thing, like do a control find. That's a good hack for mine because we feed the show through there. But anyways, I was saying episode number 161 with Michael Elefante. Reason I like this man is man, I respect that boy. He cold. He cold. The reason why is because he has like 6 properties, right? And it's funny because if you think about the evolution of Vinny Chopra, who came in, who had 300 assets under managed, 300 million assets under management, and you know the scale, the leverage, that's cool, right? But how lean Michael Elefante, that is, you know, in his model, and he's very open about this. So you can check this out on all his TikTok. I mean, he's great. I think he'll probably do $1 million this year in Airbnb, and it's self-managed, leveraging all technology, Guesty for hosts, all that stuff that we use. So essentially, I mean, he's bringing 100K months cash with 6 properties, and you just think about that. You're like, hold on, man. What did you say? Yeah, you heard. And so, and obviously he's done a really good job. Like on TikTok, this guy crushes it. He just opens up the hood of his business, of his properties, and be like, this how much we made, this how much we spent. And there's a lot of lessons learned there about being transparent. That's why I think he has success on TikTok and on all these social media platforms. And so he's crushing it now because he's doing that, and he's sharing his templates, he's making a killing. But he's just doing it very humbly. He's such a humble guy, and he's doing it with like barely any properties. Like, dude, like he has like 1 long-term rental, I think, and like 6. And by the time you listen to this, you could have another one, but super lean, 6 figures a month income. That's just bananas. Like where they do that at. Like, so listen to the episode because he talks about a lot of great insights that can really, really help you. So that's cool. I also want to show love to I don't talk about this often, or at least at the time I did, and it's 300 episodes. I had Emmanuel Ipani, which I was so happy to meet in while I was in Miami, in like just literally 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks ago, like last week. And yeah, we had a short-term rental retreat conference. And if you guys don't know who Emmanuel Pani is, he is the co-host with my boy Michael Sjogren of Short-Term Rental Secrets. Shout out to the plug over there. Shout out to the team, man. Like when I say the plug, I mean it because I listen. I'm like their #1 subscriber. That's all I listen to when I work out. I listen to it every single Monday. Like I'm there, man. And I listen to their insights and I implement it. So, you know, don't tap into one podcast, tap into many, like, and who you resonate with is important. Because if I feel like I'm hanging out with them. So when I met Emmanuel for the first time in person, I'm like, dude, I already know you. And we hit it off right away. Like, I mean, we've been talking, DMing virtually for a long time now. So, yeah, that was my boy, or that's my boy, I should say, but that was episode 122. 122. So in case I didn't mention, so Michael Elefante's was episode 161, and then Emmanuel Pani's was episode 122. Crazy. Oh, there, I found it. Almost forgot this one. This one's pretty cool because I literally try things. When people come on and they tell me an insight, I think the key takeaway you want to do is take action right away. Don't delay it. That's one of the best things you could do as a habit, right? If someone tells you a good book, have Amazon ready to go, pull up. You know what that reminds me? Because I didn't get this book. I was supposed to get it earlier, so let me do that. Now, if you guys are curious, it's Sell It Like Crazy. I keep on getting targeted. You know, I've never bought the book. Well, actually, I thought I did, but I don't think it delivered. Sell It Like Crazy. Oh, actually, I know what happened. Speaking of, I'm an action taker, guys. I got to do it right away, right now, while we're on the air. There's no wasting time. All right, I'm going to punish myself for not going through his funnel. You know what? No, I'm going to add it to my cart, and then I'm going to go through his funnel because I like to study funnels because he's a marketer. So instead of going straight to his Amazon, buy through his funnel, see what he upsells, see how he sells it, look at the copy. Love doing that kind of stuff. But so I just added that, Sell It Like Crazy. I'm going to read that. And part of it is, you know, you guys know about the marketing that I love, right? Build businesses and vertically integrated and then buy more real estate. That's my formula in the lab. That simple. You're just only one experiment away. That's it. You're only one experiment away. So, but this is a pretty cool, speaking of money. So the money multiplier method with Kessler. So that's episode 138, y'all. So you guys, if you ever heard of like infinite banking, like that's the one for you. And so actually followed everything, got a whole life insurance policy, borrowed against it recently, paid off some credit cards. And it's kind of infinite because it's borrowing against like the gain that it's getting against the fund. Just listen to the episode. It's pretty cool. Because I don't want to misspeak it, but it's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, man. This is I mean, there's so many people I want to just show love to. Shout out to John Casman, episode 149. He was the one where he talked about the true power of branding in real estate. It's pretty cool because I like John because he's literally has over 100 million assets under management and syndications, and he came from the world of branding and marketing. Like he did it for like these corporate levels. I don't know if it was Pepsi or Coca-Cola, like one of those. So he understands, and I love people who understand both. Just like shout out to Bill Faith when this comes out. This hasn't been out yet, but it will be. He talked a lot about layering marketing and short-term rentals together. Love that. But anyways, I was going to say something about John Casman, episode 149. He said something about branding is what people say when you're not in your room, and marketing is pretty much what you're pushing out to the marketplace. I don't know if he said that or we talked about it, but that was really dope. And then I coined a term from him. He says, you don't need another real estate podcast, but your network does. Boom. Bars, guys. Let's think about that for a second. Like, that's why, like, people are already doing this. That's not the point, man. Like, there's so many episodes where I'm like, hey, check out my episode that I had on this topic that you asked me about. You have your database, you have a bank of podcasts, of episodes that you can share with your community and your audience. And then there's that brand association that comes with it. So, yeah, man, I'm just looking at here. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, why don't we just wrap it with that, man? I mean, shout out to TJ Tijani, episode number 174. I just like the brother. It was a fun episode. Got a chance. I mean, I had already connected with him many times. But we hadn't had him in the lab, and his whole thing that I really love is a lot of people talk about short-term rental arbitrage, but they don't talk about the strategy behind it. You're not just doing arbitrage to like do arbitrage, you do arbitrage to own. And so his whole thing was like, his portfolio was interesting because it was pretty balanced. It was like he owned, I can't remember the percentage now, but it was something, don't quote me on this, but it was something like, I don't know that it was 50-50. I think he owned more at this point, but essentially you leverage arbitrage to own more. So instead of you trying to like save up money to put down a down payment or short-term rental, you're saying arbitrage and then use that money to arbitrage more to then, it's like 2 tiers away. It's like arbitrage and use that arbitrage money to buy the property rather than like buying the property right away. It's like a tier removed, and it's smart because it's just, you can scale faster that way. And he uses that model. He's a like arbitrage king in our space for sure. That's love right there. I didn't show love to Jonah Weiss. I know he was in the lab with us as well. Jonah Weiss is a cost segregation specialist. Oh, this was a while back, actually, Jonah. Check out episode 98 if you haven't heard of cost segregation. We haven't done one yet, but we're working with my EA, a.k.a. for those of you who don't know what an EA is, it's enrolled agent, a.k.a. Ninja CPA, to do that. So that's dope. I see my boy here, Nick Hutchinson, episode 99, founder of Book Thinkers, adopting new mindsets from books. He's cool, man. I love his brand. If you guys check him out, he's doing some amazing things with book authors now. And so if you have a book, he actually gave us a shout out. Hospitable Hosts featured our book there as well. So it's just love, man. It's all love. It's all love. It's all love. It's all love. Listen, man, if you haven't tuned into the podcast already, definitely tune in. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any other people. I mean, again, it was all love. There's no like faves or anything like that. Actually, that's not true. There are some faves, but it was all love. If you've been on my podcast, man, there's some ones that stick out more than others. Some people, relationships you built that are deeper than others, and that's the beauty of it. But I just want to thank you if you're listening right now. We're gonna do this for a lifetime. I don't see myself stopping podcasting, or maybe it's called something else and there's a new platform or something. But that's audio content, connecting with humans on video where you don't have to be in person. I'm gonna be doing in-persons for sure, but doing that, I'm all in, guys. You already know what it is. And shout out to Pat Flinney here. I see on the site. He's the one who kind of put me on game. So, anyways, just want to say a big thank you to Experiment Nation. I would say, one of the things that you can take away from this 200 episode milestone is consistency. Everything that you do, if you can be consistent in it, I think you'll reap the rewards. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. Well, obviously it has to be productive. But I do think the compound effect is real. If you haven't read that book by Darren Hardy, check it out because there's some real stuff behind there. But yeah, go be consistent, right? Like we launch every single Monday, no excuses. And sometimes if we don't have an episode or somebody to record, we just send a self-reflection, but we don't have too many of those. I actually just do those like an episode like this just because we can and because I want to. And I think it's meaningful from the people to hear from me. Sometimes just me, I still got some stuff to offer, right? I got some goods. But otherwise, it's just a pleasure to share the hosts that come on this platform with you guys. And hopefully you're getting nuggets. And, this show means nothing to me if you're not picking up a gem and acting on it. So I really trust that wherever you're listening to this, wherever you are in the world, whatever what time it is, whatever date it is, that you hear something, you pick it up and you run with it, or you look a little bit more into it. And that's kind of like the planting of the seeds is my goal here, right? You hear it, Google it, you re-listen to it, find out the person close in your network who you can tap into that can help you with that. If not, reach out to you'd be surprised. Reach out to the host directly. They're available. I give all the handles out. My team does a good job of putting in the show notes, right? Shout out to the team, right? Reach out to these people, man. A lot of them have, an open mindset of, the abundant state of mind. They know that execution and consistency, like this podcast, is the true separator. They're not afraid to give their secrets away, and neither should you have an abundant state of mind, but be extremely quick on taking action and being consistent. With that said, guys, just like that, just another episode. And again, you can check out the show on experimentrealestate.com. There's a feed there, experimentrealestate.com/podcast. You can see that. You guys know I'm very active on Instagram. We got it back. It was taken down for a little bit, but it's at the Real Estate Experiment, at the THE Real Estate Experiment. That's right. So there's going to be 2 E's back to back. It looks a little crazy, but it's correct. You have to write Real Estate, ends with an E, and then experiment starts with an E. Experiment not dot. At the Real Estate Experiment is my handle on IG. Find me there. DM me if I miss it. I try to clean up my inbox here and there because sometimes it goes to spam if we have no mutual friends, or I don't know what their algorithm is, whatever. But yeah, reach out to me. Maybe send me an audio. That's the best thing. That's the best hack I've given many times at this podcast. Record an audio and send it to me. I'll reply. That's a fact. With that said, y'all, let's build, y'all. I'll let you guys build. All right, conquer the rest of your day. Cheers.